is the reckoning. 2024.
All my life, been grinding all my life.
Welcome everybody to TCtv1 USA. My name is Tony Shira and this is the Roundup. In this episode, Katt Williams unites the world.
Faison's never done his own tour in 30 years. Steve Harvey don't do stand-up no more. Cedric doesn't write. I'm sorry, he doesn't write. Ricky Smiley has been playing the same old black woman forever. Like, you can't get a young fan base with that.
Katt Williams has this week united the entire world, breaking the internet and diverting attention from the Israeli-Gaza crisis, Russia-Ukraine war, and even the debates on the US elections. How so?
Steve told you that he stopped doing stand-up because he had 7 TV shows. The only problem is when he stopped stand-up, he didn't have those 7 TV shows. He stopped stand-up because he got in a comedy battle called the Championship of Stand-Up Comedy with one Katt Williams in Detroit in front of 10,000 people and lost because Katt Williams said he was actually bald and that was a wig. And I went in and that's why he couldn't do stand-up anymore. Imagine him coming to tell you another story where he got so big and it was Bernie and them's fault because they wanted to be movie stars. What? You called Ocean 11 to get that nigga's part. What do you mean you didn't want to be a movie star? So on the behalf of Bernie, I would have to say what I have to say.
He got everyone talking, including myself. High-profile individuals, and there are many, who fell under his tongue now have to mount a defense against his assertions or come in to, quote-unquote, set the record straight, clarify some things, blah, 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 etc., etc. I don't know. This was after the interview he just had with Shannon Sharpe on Club Shay Shay. So, did a dwarf shake down a dynasty?
I'm a stand-up comedian. This is my 19th 100-city tour. I'm not gonna have a conversation with these lazy bums that'll take a shortcut at any point. Yes, it's easier for you to juice than to get in the gym, but you don't get to bring that body in here talking crazy.
Talk about how good you look.
What? No, there's too many comics out there that are putting their life on the line to tell these jokes, man.
Okay.
Before we get into it, smash the like button and subscribe to TCtv1 USA for more like this.
These guys' whole job is to present something, unfortunately. And I'm just not a presenter. If you ask me a question, I'm just going to tell you the truth of how it went.
Would you be willing to do another Friday?
Cube already asked me to write it. I was supposed to have been writing it. This is what these guys are mad about.
I've watched stand-up comedy for a long time from when I was back home in Kenya. And while I've come across many names, most of which I don't remember or might not necessarily mention in this episode, I certainly definitely remember Def Comedy Jam, Kings and Queens of Comedy, and the late great Bunny Mac. I am blessed. You remember that? God rest his soul in peace. Those I do remember, and so I also recognize Katt Williams. Katt stands a paltry 5 feet 4.5 inches tall. Tall? I don't know. Well, generally a small-framed person, typically what many might describe as small. Artistically, pitting him against his giant fellas in the business, including Steve Harvey, who stands a towering 6 feet and 1 tall, and the massive Cedric the Entertainer. One could exaggerate Katt's stature to describe him as a dwarf, quote-unquote, artistically speaking, right? But that's only as far as appearance goes. When it comes to presence on stage,
Your question was, when did I think I was funny? I never was my biggest fan. To this day, I'm not the biggest fan. I'm a fan of comedy. I like great comedians. Like, I like Chappelle. I like Patrice O'Neal. Like, I like the greats of comedy because I do. Like, I like Ron White. I like Bill Engvall. Like, I know comics. Like, people that did the craft, they raised me. I was touring with Steve Marmel and Richard Jenny and real journeymen. So my comedy upbringing was standard.
Katt defies all and slashes everyone to a size below 5.
You can't flip up on me because you're an inferior comedian. I'm going to destroy you, and I'm never going to call you out of your name. I'm never going to say anything disrespectful to people that look like you. It's a very thin line I got to call.
He has this gigantic ego, only tempered with some specks of humility, and a rather soft voice laced with some artistic shake that tames his razor-sharp, witty verbal strokes. I hope you get what I mean. But where does all this come from? One would ask. Well, having watched a 2011 movie called You're Nobody Till Somebody Kills You,
They tried to kill me this same weekend. Not in jokes, with a real gun in my real face on real camera. Understand I'm losing my life for participating in something that goes along with my job. Like, it's two comedians, what do you mean? And the world was okay with it because it was me. Had that happened to anyone else, the world went crazy when Will smacked Chris. This is a person pulling a whole gun on a comedian in the confines of their job. It's really a weird situation when they hate you that bad.
Yeah.
Katt Williams has faced threats on his life, career-wise and otherwise, including literally, when a week after a radio interview he had with Wanda Smith, he says her husband pulled a gun on him and pointed in his face outside Atlanta Comedy Theater.
The truth is really the commodity, and the fact that we are all individuals and all separate and all our own islands, but not in real life. In real life, it's only 5 or 6 different types of people, and you're gonna see them everywhere that you go.
Perhaps it is his experience growing up in a strict religious household.
Me and God go into extreme conversation where I'm explaining to him that I'm a crash out dummy if he don't send me a lifeline, like I need something I can hold on to. My particular background was already religious and super strict. I'm Katt Williams, but I was still doing clean comedy, so I was still going to churches and doing 45 minutes of stand-up at the church with no curse words, no sex, drug material, no none of that, just straight stand-up.
Or exposure to the real life of the streets when he left home at 13.
Do you consider yourself a king of comedy? Where does Katt?
No, they consider that.
Oh, that-
Like when after Bernie left, them same 3 guys I'm telling you about, the kings,
Yeah.
right? Because DL is the greatest.
Yeah.
There's no DL slander gets tolerated. But they came to me. I was supposed to be the 4th king. I got the offer.
Then what happened?
But I turned it down.
Why?
Because you shit on Bernie. And I know the truth. You think I'm gonna let you shit on Bernie and then come get me? I'm the next king? Fuck you. Why? Because the whole time Bernie was here, you was acting like you was funnier than him. The reason you was supposed to go last is because it was your tour. Tell the truth. It was Steve's tour. Not it was going to be called the Kings of Comedy. It was Steve's tour. These are the guys opening for him. Of course you got to close if it's your tour. That's why it was such a big deal. But you couldn't do it because you can't beat the best. And until you humble yourself, you will forever be kinged by the king. And because you finally did it, because you didn't have no other choice, and now that he gone, you gonna act like he wanted to be a movie star. You stop it. You stop it. That man was funnier than all of y'all, and y'all thought y'all had one over on him. You thought he was black and ugly, and you were good looking, and he couldn't make it because you did. And that ain't the way comedy works. The king is the funniest. Period. Every time.
Or maybe his expansive knowledge from the thousands of books that he has read over the years.
That time, this time, same times.
No, but I'm saying...
Just like people that tell you the Egyptians, they not black. Egypt is in Africa, folks. As long as Egypt is in Africa, then Egyptians are African.
Or just because he is the greatest. Or is he?
Comedians would say women would bring them money and not say where it came from.
A lot of times I will utilize ladies to convey a message. If a comedian is doing a great job somewhere in the country, he just did a masterful set and nobody's gonna pay him. They just clapping. And I know he's broke as shit back there. Wouldn't it be nice if somebody just showed up and gave him a little blessing? And he didn't have to suck me off for it and thanks, Katt, and boy, I really needed it. Why would you do that?
I will leave that to you. The one thing, however, that makes him stand out is his boldness and audacity to train his guns on anyone that calls for it.
We should be ashamed. But this is a country where we don't pay the teachers and then we say the kids is the most important thing. You can't have both of them. If you do that, we're going to end up with a generation that can't read. Guess what? Generation Z and A can't read. Why? Because who was giving them a book? We gave them an iPad or a phone, and now the letters don't mean nothing.
He's not shy to speak his mind against people who have disregard for general good. Something probably instilled by his faith in God as he grew up, and perhaps as a result of his efforts to rise above most against the odds, be that his challenges dealing with his views on life against that of his dad and staunch religious family back in Ohio, or his confrontation with race.
I'm a pro-black non-racist. Like, I really, really love black people, but I don't love them more than other people. I love everybody. I'm a black guy, and I try to stick with that.
Or wealth and success, having not gone through regular school and career paths.
Yeah, I'm not one of those pillow talkers either. Like, when I do something good, I'm really not doing it for the gram. It's not for any of that. I'm just doing it because it's good to do.
It could be any.
So how many times must you tell a joke before you master it?
How many times have you had to sleep with a woman before you're done with her? That's not fair. If it's great, never. if it ceases to have usefulness, so it has been spoken.
I'm excited to see who's next to respond. Keep it right here. My name is Tony Shira, and this is TCtv1 Roundup. Remember to subscribe, like, and share. Peace out.